are about to enter a world of true crime. From cold cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off into fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know.
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
Hello, everybody. Let's see what happened here. This is Jay with Guilty of Crime, everybody. And I'm probably about a minute off, but that's okay. Only 2. I'm doing good today. All right. So we're going to fix this a little bit here. I think I got my green screen wall. I was trying to set up and yeah, a few minutes off. Good afternoon, everybody. Today we're doing the roast of Ruby Franke and Jodi Hildebrandt. Hey, Marianka, good to see you. I haven't talked to you in forever. Just kidding. Hello, Carrie Summers. Good to see you. Sadie's mama, Carly, Melly Michelle, new member, and Sadie's mama, new member also. Thank you all for joining here today, as well as becoming a member. We now have memberships, which is really cool. I thought we did on the last one. However, we didn't. It hadn't been set up yet. But today we're talking about Jodi and Ruby. And we're going to do that with the Deception Detective. We're going to do a roast. We're going to do it. We're going to roast them. And we hope that you get your comments in. And I hope that you get, the rewatch crew gets it. And everyone has something to say. I know it's a bit early today. But I wanted to get it going, and I figure people at their lunchtime, and first thing I want to say, do you know Chad Daybell's trial's starting? They're picking jury members right now. So I know that has nothing to do with Jodi and Ruby, but Chud, as I like to call him, Chud Daybell, is equally as bad, if not worse. So if you didn't know, Chud's trial is starting, Chad Daybell, and you guys go over there and watch Hidden True Crime. They're streaming the jury being picked, so it's pretty cool. I'm letting people get in here, and we can call him Chode as well. We're doing a roast today, so it's all appropriate to talk as much shit as you want, everybody. I'm trying to fix this because it's bothering me. But okay, when we're doing a roast, everybody could talk shit. Whatever YouTube's gonna let you talk, please do. So, as people are rolling in, this is awesome. My name for Jodi and Ruby it's cuntyruby and stinkyjodi. So throughout it, instead of saying their name, I'm gonna call them cuntyruby and stinkyjodi. And if you don't know why, well, I'll tell you. I could tell you from the get-go. If you haven't watched the interrogations of Ruby Franke's husband, he said that they were hanging out in the room all the time. And when I say they, Cunty, Ruby, and stinkyjodi would hang out upstairs for hours doing their prayers, and they'd come down on cloud 9. Which to me equals an orgasm, right? When you're on cloud 9, it's orgasmic, right? We're not doing prayers. We're having orgasms for 4 hours when we want people to stay away. We're hiding the kids in the basement. They can't go in the yard. But what he did say is that stinkyjodi stunk really bad. She was always wearing a hoodie because she's a cutter. So her arms were all cut up. And she'd wear the hoodie in like 110-degree weather, and she smelled like shit. He literally said that she smelled like shit because she didn't shower. All those beautiful showers that she had. Hello, Miracle Hearts. A beautiful 10,000 square foot house that she had with all the bathrooms, all the bedrooms, and she didn't shower. So we're going to call her Stinkyjodi and Cunty Ruby. And yeah, we could talk about Chode 2. And we're going to get into this, everybody. We're doing an intro, letting people roll in. There's probably going to be a rewatch crew here. It's a Monday at 1 o'clock. It's, Easter Monday. People are either out of town or back to work, maybe hungover. That's okay. I'm not. So we're going to do this. We're going to do it deception detective style, and we're going to ad-lib, talk shit in the chat, all that fun stuff today. Again, I want to thank everybody for being here. Yeah, cuntyruby, there you go. We're going to put that up there if you saw that. And also, April Fool's Day, everybody. It's freaking April Fool's. I can just pull this down and say April Fool's, but I hate jokes. So we're not going to play that. I actually hate jokes. So everybody, happy April Fool's and Easter Monday to everybody. This is a good joke on Cunty. I got to remember their names. cuntyruby and stinkyjodi. So we're going to roast them today, and we are going to talk about them, and then we're going to watch Deception Detective and ad-lib. Now, I also wanted to tell you, I got some comments about a few things. People really like the Deception Detective, and we want you to make more content, Mr. DD. But we also surpassed anything they expected us to do as far as my videos and his video. So not only did I get a shout out, but I just checked my email this morning and I got a message from Davy Jones replying to a topic in the forum. And he says he recently remarked that the collaborations could increase if the participants did this and reshared. But beyond the sum of the individual's efforts, it far exceeds what he was hoping for. He's saying great synergy for what we're doing with the community and other people in that community. So thank you all for going to his channel, DD, Deception Detective, and we're doing it with him today again. And we're going to comment on his stuff. We're going to go back and forth. So I'm going to put up this and I'll talk a little bit and then we'll let him talk and then that's kind of the show. And hopefully you guys talk shit back. We have a small chat today compared to what I've been used to, but that's good. That means I can talk to you guys more. Everybody likes that individual attention, and so do I. So first, we're going to start with whoever I have up here. We're going to start with the first video, and it is, let's see what we got going here. This is not what I wanted. He calls it how to spot a sadist. However, the how to spot a sadist is actually going to be, I believe it's cuntyruby. Let's see. All right. So this one is how to spot a sadist is what he calls this one. But we're talking about cuntyruby and the 8 passengers. We're going to see some complete failures that she did over the time of this channel. And we're going to roast them. All right. So let's get into it. All right. Let's everybody, DD, Deception Detective. We're going to go back and forth. He likes to keep himself small and hidden. I like to be out there in front of the camera and with you all. So hello. Let's get this party started right now. How about that? All right. Let's go.
So we're going to watch this compilation and see how we could have detected the warning signs that she's a sadist.
cuntyruby.
And this will be useful for you in spotting sadists in your own life so you can avoid them. Let's dig in.
That being said, cuntyruby is a sadist, and she's going to help us spot other sadists.
Hey folks, today we're going to take a closer look at the most emotionally violent and horrific moments from the 8 passengers' vlogs. From this case, we can get a clear example of what exactly psychological warfare within a family unit looks like. Ruby-Franke is obviously on the more extreme end of the spectrum of that, to the point we could almost call it psychological terrorism. This video is for educational purposes, and I must warn you in advance, there are some absolutely devastating moments. Although there was no apparent physical violence in the vlogs, the manipulative and narcissistic demands of Ruby are sure to leave a lasting effect on these children that they'll need to work out in therapy for years to come. Also, before we dive...
Yes, everybody, we are doing a roast today. If you're just rolling in, Mr. Bud Bundy, and we are not going to call them by rubyfranke or Jodi Hildebrandt. It's cuntyruby and stinkyjodi. So if you got something to say about cuntyruby or stinkyjodi, that's their name. And I'm going to hashtag that all over the place when I'm done. Okay. So we're roasting these sadists and cult leaders all over the place.
Dive into it, pay close attention to how frequently Ruby's smiling and laughing into the camera. So very pleased with her new and inventive ways of tormenting these kids. Like she's getting a thrill out of exercising the control. And the viewer is her approving partner in crime.
So Tesmosis, who I recommend you go follow, I've definitely given him a follow, and I've also linked this video in the description below. One of the things he noticed is that Ruby seems to really enjoy tormenting the kids, and that is why I believe she's a sadist. And the hallmarks of a sadist are that they enjoy harming others, whether it's psychological or physical, and specifically they enjoy humiliating them, and they like doing it publicly. The second thing that makes a sadist truly sick is that there's no secondary gain. In other words, Liver King lied because he was trying to sell supplements, right? He was saying he was natural, but his supplements could make you big and bulky like him, but he was lying to sell products. Or Amber Heard, right, was lying to win a lawsuit against Johnny Depp. But sadists enjoy...
Like Ruby Franke. I'm sorry, we're not calling her that. We're calling her cuntyruby. Doesn't like to do that. She just likes to humiliate people for her pure pleasure. And we're going to show you how. He likes to give examples. Mr. DD, we respect you, but he's not really a true crime guy. He knows the cases a little bit, but he's doing us a justice by helping us spot a sadist. And cuntyruby's one of them. So let's keep going.
Enjoy harming other people simply for the enjoyment they derive from it, right? So they do it for their own pleasure. And I think that's why Tesmosis is so shocked that she's smiling in so many of these clips. So let's dig in.
All right.
Eve is responsible for making her lunches in the morning, and she actually told me she did pack a lunch. So the natural outcome is she's just going to need to be hungry. And hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch.
Mom, can you give me some breakfast?
You don't need food.
Okay.
Everything that comes into this house belongs to who?
Yeah.
Belongs to me.
Because I really won't get anything for summer. I won't be able to go anywhere. No, I don't have any friends. No iPads, no TV, nothing.
I cannot wait to hug them and to smell them and to lick them.
Crazy bitch.
My bedroom was taken away
Hunt.
for 7 months and then gave it back like a couple of weeks ago.
I don't think our viewers know that.
I was sleeping on a beanbag since October. And they gave my room back like 2 weeks ago. Oh, I'll give you the reason why I lost my bedroom. I think so. I think this is the reason. At least this is the reason that's in my head. It's pretty funny, but now I look back at it, it's pretty depressing.
No, we never told our viewers.
That I woke Russell up at 2 in the morning and told him that we're going to Disneyland and he has to pack. And he got up and made his bed all neatly and then packed all his clothes in a suitcase. And then he walked out the door. I'm like, Russell, he was like, what? He's all happy. As a son.
Now I'm going to stop this knowing what I know and roast her a little bit more because this bitch, sorry, she's a cunt, not a bitch. This cunt actually wasn't able to control the older children anymore. And that's why she did what she did. We know where she is now. We know she's in jail, locked up, and what she did. Yeah. And that boy's really handsome. Her kids are all beautiful children. They did a good job with making children. However, she couldn't control the older kids anymore. And when you watch this, she there's a lot of clips where you see that you could tell that she feels embarrassed because she can't control them anymore. And they're not listening at all. Like he's joking about losing his room. He really doesn't give a crap anymore. He's about to move out, and watch how humiliated she gets. And that's why she does that to the younger children, everybody. When she ties them up and cuts them to the bone, is because she can control them still. And they're manageable.
Do you think it's funny? Because
And then I walked out.
if you think it's funny, then that was 7 months ago. Maybe you need longer without a bedroom.
It was not funny.
Russell got the big bedroom and Chad got the smaller bedroom. And Russell's bigger bedroom also had a bathroom. But what you guys didn't know was Chad didn't get any room. He didn't get anything. He was sleeping on the floor in the family room. Abby, we took the phone away from Abby in
So
November.
proud.
And you may never get the phone back.
Probably not.
So there's a difference between a strict disciplinarian mother and a sadist. And the way to tell that Ruby is a sadist rather than just a tiger mom is that she's punishing the children and they don't know why, right? So it's not like she's trying to teach a lesson by taking the boy's room away, or like she's trying to teach a lesson by taking the daughter's phone away, right? The son didn't know why his room was taken away, and the daughter doesn't know whether she'll get her phone back or not because there's nothing she can do to correct what she did wrong, right? It's not like she got bad grades and her mother took her phone away until she gets A's or until she does her homework. The room was taken away.
Although I'll correct you on that, Mr. DD. The room was taken away because he played the Disneyland joke. He said, "Oh, we're going to Disneyland, get up." But That's funny. Who cares? My brother did that to me growing up. He said, it's time to go to school. And it was like a Sunday at 3 a.m. So get over it. So yeah, this lady is just really a sadist and she likes to torture kids. And we see that now. And she's in prison.
The phone was taken away. And it seems arbitrary to the children. And that's because it was done just for Ruby's pleasure, right? She enjoys inflicting the punishment. There's no lesson to be taught, right? There's no reason behind it besides her own pleasure. Let's keep watching.
No, I have no friends.
You can play with friends.
No, like I don't have friends.
I don't have friends either.
I literally like told my friends I'm not hanging out with them.
Because those
They say some pretty messed up stuff.
I don't even know where they live. They're pretty far away.
So, summer goal, become the best athlete I possibly can.
We're gonna go see Despicable Me 3, but before we do, I'm gonna make sure these kids have something good to eat. So, Boston, get in line.
I'm first.
Everyone get in line. Here we go. You get back there.
So we're gonna go.
I love that I can talk to my nephews that way. Get in line.
By the way, you know, the older children turned her in several times, right? There's plenty of reports that I heard, and I heard the calls that they called 911 saying the children were being abused. The cops went to the house and they never answered the door. So the older children that moved out were really doing a good job and trying to look out for the younger kids. And yeah, they think their mom's a whack job. She's not only a whack job and a sadist, but she's a cunt. Let's keep going.
Now go back to the back of the line. Get in line. Now go back to the back of the line. I'm not mad at you. I think it's funny. It's okay. Julie took 5 boxes of mac and cheese and took the mix and made it look like orange juice. I am asking you to make lunch for the family. Hey, do it with a happy face. There you go. Thank you. Eve, jump in. Massage my back. Get rubbing kick. Massage my back. Get scratched.
Lapper.
Scratch my head.
Hunter.
Yeah.
Come on, you gotta earn your keep. You don't get breakfast if you don't massage
She's
my
not
back.
kidding. No joke.
Okay. Get up there, scratch. I guess you don't get food today.
I feel like Sherry thinks she's a mother of her siblings.
It's true.
It's really annoying.
I agree.
I do too. Like, and it's something I'm really working on. Like, I'm trying. Like, I'm physically.
Yeah, that older one was the one moved out. And Janine, I agree. And I want to answer your guys' questions and address your comments too. I can't remember that guy's name because he's such a milk toast. If anyone knows what that means, he has no balls at all. No balls whatsoever. And so, yeah, I don't think he should get at the kids. He's just as bad. He should have stood up for them. Instead, he let his wife have orgasms upstairs while they kicked him out of the house and took all his money. So, yeah, that guy has no balls. And if you have a nickname for him, let me know so we can also call him out too.
Force myself to not say anything, like, even if it bugs me.
So this clip is particularly important. One sign that children have been neglected is when they're inappropriately mature for their age, right? So here, I think this must be one of the daughters, is saying that she's like the mother of her siblings, which tells me that she's been playing the motherly role since a young age. And typically when you find something like that, it means that the children have been neglected. And later in this compilation, I watched through it once, Ruby does admit to being a neglectful mother. So one way to tell a sadist or a liar or a sociopath is they will actually tell you it themselves as long as you listen, right? So in that earlier clip, when she was bizarrely having the kids line up and take a bite of a banana on camera, she said that she enjoys being able to give them marching orders and humiliate them, right? So one thing to do for any statement analyst is take people at face value, listen to what they actually say. Let's keep listening.
Yeah. Stop! Don't do that! What are you doing?
Is that
Yes.
So hold on here. We got to do a little update here for a second.
I had therapy and I got kicked out of my school. Woo!
Okay.
I love that kid.
Everybody's asking if you still have your phone taken away for the summer.
Yep, I do.
Yes.
Shout.
And
It's not her fault. It's mine.
when will you learn, Chad? A lot of you guys say, "Oh, you shouldn't get mad at him for bad grades. They try."
You should shut your mouth. But that kid was great, and I'm glad that he got out unharmed. He's probably going to need some therapy. But do you see how he's controlling her, and he's just making a joke out of it? So the little one, she really heavily targeted. That's not funny. Nothing's funny about that. But what's funny is that she's a sadist and she's a cunt, and we can talk shit about her now that she's been convicted.
Their hardest. You on
I
the
did
other
not
hand
try my hardest.
don't know that he
Cheat on a
tried
test.
his hardest.
Is that Sister Jensen?
So no, I want to tell you this. No, listen. I talked to the principal of the school today.
Hey, passengers. Sorry, someone just yelled 8 passengers out the window. Little back.
Okay,
I love
are you
him.
Okay. Listen.
No,
I talked
he's
to the
not.
principal today, and
Did you check me back?
no.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
let me get 5 words in before you start talking and
No,
flopping
don't.
your yap. Okay, listen. I talked to the principal. He wanted me to tell you he loves you, and he was very sad to see that you weren't coming back. The reason you're not going back to that school is because you chose not to.
Yep. I really did not want to
The
go back.
agreement was
I
you can
love
come
him.
back if you're humble and if you really want to be here.
I
And
really did
the,
not
and
want to
the
be there.
truth, the honest truth is, he's not humble and he doesn't want to be here. So
Look at that.
if you listen, oh my gosh, listen. If you change your mind.
I love that kid that he's just not paying attention to her and he's making fun of her. Now, Melly Michelle, she thought having a public show was good and everyone and the abuse was good, and how did CPS not intervene? Let me tell you a little story about that. CPS wasn't intervening because, well, she was on TV and it's a Mormon area, and the LDS and a lot of those people in that area discipline their children like that same way. So she was getting away with it just fine. It's just kind of tough love type of thing. She wasn't abusing them like she was the younger children, just so you know. And the reason the show got pulled down was because a bunch of kids went and they stormed her show and got it pulled down because they didn't want their parents to find that show and parent them like that. So just to answer your question, that's why she was able to get away with it for so long.
And you realize what you're missing out on and you humble yourself, you are welcome back to the school.
I really don't want to go back to that school.
I know. I'm just letting you know that that is an option.
I can do with these dudes.
But I do still expect you to be honest,
Responsible and humble.
we'll work on
I
the
love
humble.
him. He's so
So I'm not
cute.
surprised that the mother's more interested in making him humble than honest and responsible, right? Because humility comes from someone belittling or humiliating you or punishing you, right? And that's what she enjoys. So making him humble, I'm sure, is the most enjoyable aspect of her discipline. Let's keep watching.
You still need to work on being humble.
Okie dokie.
I love you.
Thank you for joining our yoga session and our stretching session. I really hope you enjoyed this and learned something. Please subscribe, and I know you can't comment below, but please like the video, and I hope you learned something, and have a nice day.
Go back to what you were doing. No, not right there, Mom. Ow, Mom, stop.
To leave the house clean, and my kids are literally starving. I hesitate to say this because it's going to sound like I'm like a mean barbarian, but I told the kids, I said, I'm not even going to let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done. That was my motivating drive. It is my motivating drive for creating this content. I was a hugely disconnected, selfish, aggressive, neglectful mother. Entitled.
And you definitely were even worse at the end of it after you were having sex with Stinky Jodi every day. And Carrie Summers, you're right. Mr. Spineless had no balls and seemed to be totally fine with Stinky and Cunty having a ball upstairs in the bedroom. They were on cloud 9 when they came out after they did their prayers, everybody, and made the kids go in the basement so they couldn't be in the backyard to see it. What do you think they're doing when they sit that close to each other and keep touching each other's legs and then kick their husband out of the house and tie their children up? Yes, they're both having massive orgasms upstairs, everybody. Nobody's saying that, but when you read those diaries and you see about the sexual lust and all the words that they're using, and Stinky Jodi had a big problem with sexuality and lust. And she was a man hater. She still is. So read between the lines, people.
Entitled, I wanted my kids to be happy, which AKA translated into, I want my kids to get off my back because I want to do what I want to do. I want to be able to go to Target. I want to be able to shop. I want to be able to have a moment of silence where I can just think. It was all about me. And I made my kids responsible for that. And so I allowed them to have what they wanted. About a year ago, my daughter was saying her prayers. Eve, she was 6 years old at the time. And she was saying her prayers and she said the cutest thing. I thought it was so cute. And I started laughing. She said, Dear Heavenly Father,
please help me to survive. And I thought it was so cute, and it just took me off guard, and I kind of giggled a little. That was an experience.
Does anybody think that's cute now, honestly? Seeing those pictures, because I can pull them up, but I'm not going to. I have some pretty terrible pictures of the daughter, how she looks. They shaved her head and they took her sexuality away by shaving her head, and they cut into the bones of her wrists and her ankles. I don't think her saying, "God, can you help me survive," is a joke at all. And this cunty lady, man, let's keep going, but please throw some roasts in there, because this lady's just like telling us the truth.
For her, and she melted. She was angry, and she started crying. And
So that last clip is very concerning, and I actually think it's a confession of child abuse. So one of the main skills of a statement analyst is to actually listen to what people say, not the picture they're trying to create, right? So for example, in my Meghan Markle video, she said they were staying at a guest house. But in reality, they were staying at, I think it was called Rideau Gate. I would have to rewatch my video, which was a huge mansion, right? So she was trying to paint the picture of them being in a small, modest home in order to garner sympathy from her listeners, right? So people don't lie as much as you expect. Typically what they do is they sort of obfuscate, they sort of bury the truth. So in this story, if we listen to what Ruby actually said, she said that her daughter was angry and crying, that she, Ruby, was giggling about it, right? So her daughter crying and being angry made her giggle, and that at one point her daughter asked God to help her survive. So she painted this as a cute little vignette, but if you actually listen to what she said and think about the circumstances, why would the daughter be crying? And then why would she be asking God to help her survive rather than her mother?
Exactly.
And then why would the mother be laughing about that and thinking it's cute? One explanation, and I think this whole compilation helps support my hunch here, is that the daughter was asking God to help her survive because it was the mother who was inflicting the pain, whether it was psychological or physical. So this little vignette, which the mother paints as cute, if you actually think about it, paints a very, very dark picture, a picture where a daughter's literally screaming for help to survive, and the mom is giggling and giddy about that. And she's giggling and giddy about it because she's a sadist, right? She enjoys the suffering of others.
And on that note, I'm going to stop really quickly and thank you, Carly, for gifting the 5 memberships. You guys will not be sorry once you get that membership, because we're going to do some cool stuff that you can't do right on YouTube. Like you could do it on YouTube, but we're going to have some live chats, and Carly's going to help me come up with these ideas. So thank you for gifting him, Carly. We're going to do some cool stuff is all I got to say. So depending on the level that you have, we're still going to do cool stuff, because I like to do cool stuff. So thank you all, and let's keep watching. Please like, share, subscribe. If you can, grab yourself a membership. Hopefully you win one of these right now. And yeah, let's keep going. We're gonna call him the Rat King, everybody, because I don't like his name anyway. So we got Rat King, Stinky Jodi, and cuntyruby, Stinky Jodi, and Rat King so far. So let's keep going. Thanks again. And yeah, let's keep the memberships going, and let's have a community thing.
We lived in a townhouse, and there were a lot of stairs that went up to my bedroom, and the family room was down a long flight of stairs. And I put my 2 children, my almost 6-year-old, she's probably 5, and then Chad, my 3, almost 4-year-old, on a couch, and I put on a movie. And I said, I am going to go lay down. Do not move from your couch. You got your blanket, you've gone to the bathroom, the doors were locked and bolted. And I said, I'm going to go lay down. I'm going to lay your sister down for a nap, the baby, and I'm going to go lay down. And when I come down, I will get some lunch for everybody, or a snack, or whatever it was. So they were fed, they were full, they were emptied. And so I thought, okay, everything's good. And I made it very clear. I said, do not, under any circumstance, go into the kitchen. Do not go into the kitchen. You just stay right there and watch the movie for an hour. And I went upstairs and laid down. And an hour later, I came downstairs, and the movie was still going, and they were sitting on the couch, and they were cuddled in their blankets. I thought, oh, good. They did what they were told. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so relieved. Okay, so I went into the kitchen to start preparing some food. And as I walked on the floor, my feet went, they stuck. I'm like, my foot is stuck to the floor. And as I lifted my foot up off the floor, went, like you could hear the stickiness. I could hear it with my ears. I thought, oh my gosh, what is on this floor?
So Ruby finishes that story later, and you can already imagine what the payoff is. Right? What mother leaves their 3- and 5-year-old alone for an hour to take a nap, and then is surprised that the toddler's made a mess, right? Especially Think about if you've ever dealt with a small child. If you tell them not to do something, right? Don't play with that toy, or don't go in the kitchen. You're planting that seed in their head, and it's much more likely that they will go do the very thing you asked them not to do. And this seems to be, right, we're going to find out later when she finishes the story that the kids ended up making a mess predictably. And this seems to be the theme of the channel and the way that Ruby gets her kicks.
And honestly, everybody, yeah, he's right. It's a theme of the channel. It's how she get her kick. How she gets her kicks, and she's just tired by the small children. I can tell you out of my own experience, she's got these kids that are 17, 18, about to move out, and she's tired of the kids. It's 8 passengers, 8 people, 7 people that she has to think about. And she's a sadist, and she only wants to care about herself. So by the time she gets to the small children, she just doesn't give a fuck. Okay. So let that be known. She wants them out of her life. She's like Lori Vallow. Just get them away. They're evil spirits. God will take care of them. Okay. My daughter did that, and I had to clean it. I actually took a nap. She was like 5, and she took the syrup and poured it all over the whole house, all over the corners, or like a whole bottle of syrup. I gave her a kiss and a hug, gave her a bath, and my wife helped me clean it up. So that's like no big deal. And she probably whooped their asses.
She takes 3 parts. She puts the children in a situation where they will do something wrong. Right here, she left a 3 and a 5-year-old alone for an hour and told them and enticed them about something in the kitchen. Step number 2, the children mess up, right? The children do exactly what we would expect. They mess up because she set them up for failure. And then step 3, the punishment. And this is the part that Ruby enjoys. This is where she set them up for failure, they screwed up, and now she gets to exact some creative punishment. And I've never watched any of their videos. I wish I had known about this channel 7 months ago before I took my break from YouTube, because it would have been a beautiful prediction that she would get arrested for child abuse. Right? My Liver King prediction was right. My prediction about Logan Paul, his apology being phony, him not paying his.
Everybody, if you haven't subscribed to DD, please do. I have Deception Detective up there. I tagged him in the video. I'll put him down there. We'll put it in the links. Let's get him going again. We love his content. We love your content, DD. I'm going to post this in your community so you can watch it. Thank you so much.
Crypto investors, that was right. As soon as Nadia gets banned from Warzone, I think I'll be proven correct on that. But this would have been a layup because she's very predictable. And this is more common than you might expect. Abusive mothers do exist, and this is how they operate, right? This is a typical textbook sadist. Let's keep listening.
Nothing to eat?
Yeah, I need to go to the store. Stop. Just stop.
It's true.
Just stop. No, that is not true. Can you see all the food going on in the kitchen today? I am going to the grocery store this afternoon.
Oh my goodness, let me finish. She's talking for me.
You told me
Let
that
me
you
talk.
don't eat breakfast,
Let
and
me
you don't
talk.
eat lunch.
Let me talk. You asked a question, and then you all went and attacked me.
And there was a time, I'll find the photo. I had just had Russell, and Julie was just crying a lot and whining. And one day I looked at her and I'm like, you just stink. She had like peed her pants or something. And it was just because she was being neglected, because I was totally paying attention to the new baby. And I thought, you know what?
Is that funny? She was worried about her kid stinking, but she was upstairs having sex with Stinky Jodi. That's so weird.
Because I really won't get anything this summer. I won't be able to go anywhere. I don't have any friends. No iPads, no TV, nothing.
I have been full-time. You wonder where I've been on my vlogs? You wonder why I left YouTube? It's to save my kids. No amount of money. And I'm telling you, I was making millions. And I left it because my kids were being hurt. With entitlement, they were being hurt. With people's advice, and they didn't have a mother up the front saying, I don't care what the world's opinion is. This is the truth, and this is where I stand. And fortunately, I had a chance. I had them in my home long enough to do it, and I'm not going to lose them. They're seeing truth. They're accepting truth. They're loving truth. And so this is my passion, is to invite you to stand in truth and put your opinions to the side for a minute, because your kids are the target of distortion.
By you.
And I took another step, and my foot stuck and went like it was like sticking on the floor. And I thought, what is this? So I did what any mother would do. You know what I'm going to say, moms? I knelt down on the floor and I smelt it, and I couldn't quite tell. And I stuck my tongue out and I licked the floor. I'm like, this is
lick the floor.
Juice. What in the world? How did pineapple juice get on the floor? And everywhere I walked, my foot stuck to the floor. And I thought, what? How? I'm trying to put the pieces together. Like, what happened? So I called my 2 kids and I said, come here. And they came over and I said, do you guys know why this floor is sticky? No. no, we don't know. And I said, this floor was absolutely clean before I went upstairs. I went upstairs for an hour.
And you hear that? She licked the floor to make sure what they had done. Like, you didn't know that they just put syrup on the floor? It was syrup. Who cares? You nasty bitch. Cunt. Lick the floor. Wow. This lady, man. She was licking something else, too. I'm telling you. This is not speculation.
And I came down, and now it is covered. There is something that's going on, and one of you, or both of you, knows something, and you're not telling me. And I'm going to stand here until you do.
I'm going to go get dressed.
So it's a shame that clip was cut off early, but that was the payoff, right? That was the beginning of the payoff from her earlier clip. She set up the children for failure. They did exactly what she expected them to do. And then she relishes every part of punishing them. Even here, you can tell her excitement about interrogating the children. And this is typical sadistic behavior. Another part of a true sadist is the public humiliation, right? So it's not just private humiliation where they're making someone feel bad in private. It's much more satisfying to them to do it in public. So I'm not surprised that she made a YouTube channel to publish her inventive punishments of her children. And I'm sure lots of people that watch the channel derive pleasure from watching the children get punished. It's almost like on Twitter when you see a pile on, when there's the target of the week and everyone's piling on. Most of the people who are piling on are just sadistic, right? They enjoy the pile on. When it's public, it's much more satisfying. And also, while I took a break from YouTube, I saw lots of stuff that concerned me. For example, on TikTok, there was a trend where couples would point their camera at their partner and say something about wanting to cheat on them or talking about a previous boyfriend or girlfriend in front of them and capturing their reaction. And that is a sadistic thing to do. That public humiliation means you're dealing with a sadist. And my recommendation is get as far away from them as you can. And if you haven't seen my video on Amber Heard, if you encounter someone like her, I'd get as far away from her as you can. Same with Meghan Markle. If someone's a manipulator and trying to paint themselves as a victim and distort your view of reality, you need to get as far away from them as you can, right? So,
and I like how he uses distort reality, because now we know distortion, and we're going to do Stinky Jodi next. I love saying Stinky Jodi, Stinky Jodi, Stinky Jodi. We're going to say Stinky Jodi while we do Stinky Jodi next with Mr. DD. And guess what? He didn't even know. If you heard that or you just came in, this case hadn't even happened yet. This was just him basing it off of 8 passengers. And that's why I love it so much. And that's why I want you guys all to flood his channel some more and like, share, subscribe so we can get that up and we can have him do some new videos for the current times with them being in prison. It's great for this one. Anyway, let's keep going. We're almost on to the next one. And I love all the feedback, everybody.
Psychopaths, sadists, and manipulators, right? All right, let's keep watching.
That's for football.
You're gonna have to go find your shorts. Oh, did you see the socks you threw at the side of the garden? And you are not going anywhere unless you pick up your junk. You've got crap thrown all around. No, so you see now I'm using bad language. That's how bad of a mood I'm in. You get your socks picked up and don't you leave your stuff out anymore.
Where?
Right over there. Run and go pick them up. And then give me 10 push-ups. Put them in your pocket so you can take them down to the hamper and drop and give me 10.
1.
Put your hands straight out. They're in. They're not supposed to be out. Shape your hands forward. There you go. 1, 2, down further. Bring your butt down.
Ooh.
Poor baby.
If you cut one more thing in my house, I'm going to take the scissors, look at me, and I'm going to cut its head off. So what are you going to do?
And just quickly, think of the setup here. She gives the little girl scissors, right? So that's act 1 in these videos. The little girl cuts something. That's act 2. And then act 3, the little girl gets punished. Why not just take the scissors away, right? Why set the condition to a toddler that she needs to contain herself and not cut one more thing, right? I have not watched any of their YouTube channels, videos. I don't know if I think the channel's been taken down, but from the clips I've seen here, that seems to be the 3 acts of every punishment video. And this is her setting up the failure so that she can punish this little girl, right?
And just quickly, so I can answer your question, Maya, some of her relatives do still have it up. I don't know if Carly's answering, but they do. I don't know about all of them, but I know that one of the sisters addressed publicly about cuntyruby, and but I haven't seen it. I don't watch that content, but I know it was still up as of late. So If you're looking for it, go check it out. I could probably look around and do some searching, but if you know their names, then yeah, I believe there's still at least one of the channels that's up. All right, let's keep going on this so we don't bore anyone with her family, those awful people.
Seems to be her niece here because that looks like her sister coming in to hug her. Also, if I'm right about this 3-act thing, please let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see if that's how these videos typically play out.
Are you gonna cut anything else? No.
You promise? Look, 2 days ago was preschool. Eve slept in. She's notorious for sleeping in. And she woke up and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to wake her up because every time I wake her up, she gets super grumpy and upset. And I have to literally drag her and get her dressed. But she's old enough to do that herself. And she missed preschool. She slept in and she woke up. She's like, I'm ready to go to preschool. I said, you know what? Preschool's over. You slept through it. I'm sorry. And she's like, what?
I'm sorry, I have to stop this and say this is our job, everybody. This is our job to do that. And this lady is not only a sadist, but she's a demon. She's evil, and she's at this point, maybe she's brainwashed. I don't know if it's a Jodi or it's a Ruby thing or it's a her thing or it's just two fire and air coming together and creating a flame. But this lady is an awful demon disguised as a woman. Some of us have trouble having babies, and it costs us money to have them. And when we do, we take care of them. And when we take care of them, we make sure they go to school. I leave the house every day at freaking 8:05 so I can get my daughter to school on time, lunch packed, and make sure she's happy all day before I go to work all day long, and then still come home and do my YouTube channel. So there you go. Number one priority, guys. Let's get this right. It's our kids. All right, let's keep going.
And I said, you need to get up and get ready if you're going to go to preschool because I'm not going to drag you out.
Can you give me some breakfast?
You don't need food.
Stop crying or I'm going to have you go upstairs and you won't have any breakfast.
And final note here, the withholding of food is another sadistic punishment, right? These are children. They rely on their mother for food. All right, I've seen about enough of this as I can watch. We watched about half of it together here. If you want me to finish the rest of it, let me know. We can commentate on it. If you have any other people who I should be investigating who have popped up or any of my old arch nemesis who have resurfaced, I know Liver King just made a new video. Let me know in the comments what you want to see. Until next time, stay true.
Thank you, Dee. We appreciate it. We're going to stop sharing that and pull out. That sounded funny. We're going to pull out, everybody. I have a dirty mind, so I'll say as much as I can. But yeah, when I say pull out, that's what Jodi, I'm sorry, that's what cuntyruby and the Rat King should have done, was pull out over and over and over and not have kids, because you know what? They didn't. And they don't cherish their kids the way they should. And if I had all of those kids, I would make it like a tribe and take care of them and have a good, fun time. I only have 2 kids, but those 2 kids are like kings and queens, let me tell you, okay? And if anybody else has children they don't want, my daughter can use a little sister, a little brother, an older sister. Bring them over, send them my way. They can come hang out. We'll treat them like kings and queens too, everybody, because that's what you do with children. You boost them up so they can be better people. This lady is just, I just want to punch her in the face. I can't stand her. And now we're going to see stinkyjodi, which I don't know who's worse. I don't know if there's a worse, everybody. I think there's just a equally just as bad and equally as evil and just horrible people that I wish didn't exist. All right, hold on one second. Let me get to sharing this because I want to make sure Dee gets the acknowledgement he deserves and that he's making more content. And yeah, let's drop me over here and bring him up so he can make more content. Please, Mr. Dee, we love you. And I've heard that you only work alone, but I've seen you do interviews. So if you'll do an interview with me, I'd love you forever.
Hello, detectives. Welcome to the first episode of the Deception Detective podcast.
You hear that? That's the first episode, everybody. We got him on the first episode before any of this happened, and yet we're still getting this beautiful material. So let me make sure I put the right one on. I'm sorry. I think I put the wrong one on. Let me drop this out and put the right one on for you. You can watch me. There it is. All right. Now we got the right one, everybody. Let me pull it up there. I'm still a newbie at this. So thank you for giving me some grace.
A compilation of Jodi Hildebrandt, as well as rubyfranke, and some videos and clips of Connections, which was Jodi Hildebrandt's school for parenting. which Ruby Franke attended. So as you know, in episode 1 of the Deception Detective podcast, we looked at Ruby Franke. And lots of comments told me I should be looking into Jodi Hildebrandt because she apparently had a big influence on Jodi, might have brainwashed her, and connections may have been cult-like. So we're going to watch this compilation.
And now we know that it is cult-like, and there was a lot of people in connections. It wasn't a two-man crew, everybody. It was a whole community of people that were following Jodi and paying her, Stinky Jodi, a ton of money to tell them to abuse their kids. So it wasn't just the two. It's just she had her eyes on cuntyruby, and she really wanted her to get in her pants, and she did that. And yeah, we're going to get deeper into this case, y'all. This is just roasting today. I got so much more about this.
By Conspiracy. I've already subscribed to her. I suggest you guys go give her a follow. I've linked the original video in the description. And we'll see what we can glean about Jodi from this compilation and what her relationship with Ruby was like.
No, please do me a favor, like and subscribe.
Yes, everybody. Like and subscribe here too. Share, all that.
To the Empowering Joy class, I'm Jodi Hildebrandt. I am sure you're here because you have a desire to heal, a desire to have joy in.
One thing about, so she said you have a desire to heal, right? So she's targeting this video to susceptible people, right? People who are in need of healing. And that is typical of cults. So I'm not saying that Connections is a cult, but just pay attention to the language there, right? If you have a desire to heal. So people who are already stable and happy with their lives are not the people that Jodi is targeting. So pay attention to the language he uses.
It's all going to be people that are having marriage problems, and every single one that's having a marriage problem, by the way, that I've seen on interview has broken up. She's broken the marriages up, claiming that they have porn addictions. Every single one of them, even if they looked at porn for 10 seconds of their life, the men have porn addictions. Just keep that in mind. She's a man hater, and this is not gossip. The men that are now divorced have said that she told them they had porn addictions, and they ended up moving out of the house and getting a divorce, which ultimately what happened to Rat King and cuntyruby. So she said he was lustful and he had a porn addiction, and so they kicked him out. Well, we know why, because she wanted cuntyruby's, well, her cunt, actually.
Right, even though we're not trying to detect deception this time, the language still matters, right? Just the same way we were able to detect that Ruby was a sadist by the language she used. Let's see if we can detect that Jodi is a manipulator or has a controlling personality. Let's see what we can glean from this.
In your life and connection in your relationships. I have that same desire, not only for myself, but also for you. And so I'm very aware that many people are coming.
Let's back that up, because that might have been leakage, right? She said that she has a desire to heal herself. So that means she has damaged herself.
And if I didn't tell you, she did get abused before. I'm watching the backstory now. She was actually abused as a child. I think she was sexually abused as well. And she also is a cutter, everybody. Her arms are all cut up, both of her arms. You can't see my other arm. I don't have cuts. I have tattoos that you can see right through. But she's a cutter. And she did get abused sexually, emotionally, all that. So she's taking that hurt, and instead of fixing herself, she's harming people and putting it upon them. And she really hates men. I feel bad for the men in her life.
That's a strange thing to admit.
Hildebrandt, I am sure you're here because you have a desire to heal, a desire to have joy in your life and connection in your relationships. I have that same desire, not only for myself, but also for you.
Interesting. So she's saying that she doesn't have good relationships and that she needs to heal herself. Right? If she had everything together, we wouldn't expect her to say that she has those same desires for herself. So that looks like a little bit of leakage, right? She might be admitting that she's not so put together as she'd like to portray with this glossy video.
And so I'm very aware that many people are coming and they feel like they can't figure out how to have those things: joy, connection, clarity. And the truth is that you can. Those of you who have been given a diagnosis, I want to tell you that your diagnosis is not who you are. It's not you. The truth is that you can change. You just need education. You need the correct education. You need to understand about the power of your agency and what your agency / your choice has the power to do. And that's where the Empowering Joy class comes in.
I know that I am not the only mom who has spent much of her time looking and looking for a program or a class or some kind of curriculum that I could share with my child.
So this looks like an actual testimonial for connections from Ruby Franke. And lots of companies ask for testimonials. It's perfectly normal. But it is also a brainwashing technique. To get people to publicly endorse a belief is a form of brainwashing. And I'll put this in my link tree, this book, Influenced by Robert Cialdini. But there's a great chapter about how prisoners of war in Vietnam, I think it was, or China, were American prisoners of war were told simply to write things that they liked about the Chinese government or the Vietnamese government, right? So they didn't even have to believe it, but they just had to write it. And over time, saying that they liked, even if it was the smallest thing, right? Like I like the rice, even if they said a small thing publicly, right? So they had to write it down, they had to show it to people, made them start to believe it. So the fact that Jodi is asking Ruby to make a testimonial isn't, a huge red flag, but it is also could also be interpreted as a form of brainwashing if she's doing this to make Ruby even more indebted to her.
Oh, yeah.
And when I was looking for this compilation, I did see a short. I didn't watch it, but maybe I should, where Jodi was complaining to people about not leaving Google reviews for connections, or it was something like she was asking her followers to leave Google reviews for connections, and that's another public endorsement of something, right? So she was asking them to do it, I think, even if they didn't believe everything they were saying, but to publicly endorse connections, and that is a brainwashing technique. So if Jodi has studied brainwashing, then she's applying one of the most basic, commonly known techniques, which is to make someone publicly say something good about you.
Where my child would easily understand.
I want to tell you real quick before we get into that. She's really good at that too, by the way. In the interrogations, which hopefully you watched, the interrogations of Rat King, cuntyruby signed her 8 passengers channel over to Stinky Jodi for nothing. She gave her a $2 million a year channel. Even though it was pulled down, they were still making $2 million a year. And she gave it to her for nothing. So when she was sitting on the couch earlier and Stinky Jodi was holding her hand, pretending like they were crying and holding hands, she actually had given her that channel. And so they're trying to get it back right now because the kids were there and they are owed a lot of that money. They were on the channel, and part of the stipulations was that they get the money. So Rat King does suck, but he's trying to get money back for his kids to raise them. Now, I don't know if he's doing it out of good or he just needs money.
Understand and learn about their value and their potential and to inspire them. What I have found is Empowering Joy, and it is now a family favorite. The tradition is every Saturday we get up and we listen to Empowering Joy as we make breakfast together. It really sets the stage for the rest of the weekend. The changes that have occurred in my home have been calming. Because of Empowering Joy, my entire...
So notice how Ruby said the changes are calming. That's an interesting word to use. Let's listen to that again. Because normally, right, if you're sending your kids to a school, you might talk about how we're, happier, right? Like the class is called Joy. But Ruby is referring to calming. And knowing what we know about Ruby, how, she doled out insane punishments to her children, it's interesting that she's highlighting calming. It probably means that I think it means that she's doing something to make the children be quiet, right?
Well, I'll tell you right now, she was calming them and she was sedating them, just so you know. So she was giving them pills to sedate them and whatever she could. So when she says calming, she was calming them all right, but she was calming them with drugs at that point when they got arrested. So yeah, she really wanted them calm, everybody. She was tired of having 8 passengers and she just wanted 2, her and Stinky Jodi. And yeah, let's keep going.
Family favorite. The tradition is every Saturday we get up and we listen to Empowering Joy as we make breakfast together. It really sets the stage for the rest of the weekend. The changes that have occurred in my home have been calming. Because of Empowering Joy, my entire...
Calming. So the children are quieter, more subdued. It's something to note, right? It's an interesting use of words. She could have picked out, the average person has a 30,000 to 20,000 word vocabulary, right? The average English speaker. And she picked the word calming, right? Not happier, or, the children are
productive,
more active, more responsible, smarter, but she picked the word calming. If we did a deep dive on this, we would definitely dig into that choice of words.
entire family now has a common vocabulary of words that we use with each other, that we know exactly what the other person means when they say them. We can communicate.
And this is another technique of cults, right? A big feature of cults is isolation. And so you isolate people from their family members, but you also isolate them by making them use a different language. So having them do rituals that might force them to be away from other people.
And certain words that they use. Distortion was a big word that Stinky Jodi uses. She says distortion all the time. When she doesn't like something somebody's doing, their view is distorted and it needs to be changed to what she thinks that it needs to be, which is sedated, tied up, handcuffed, quiet, and then ultimately hidden somewhere out in Nevada, which is what she planned on doing.
Or use language in a way that other people can't understand them. So, for example, Ruby just said that Connections is teaching them a new language. And now we're seeing on the screen some of those words that they're being given different definitions of. And these are words that are already common in English, already have a set definition. And it's interesting that these are the words that Jodi wants to redefine. And if you're listening on podcast mode, some of these words we have on the screen are happy, peace, joy, calm, honest, humble, lies, chaos. So imagine taking someone and distorting their view of what evil is, or distorting their view of what truth is.
And that's what Jodi did, by the way. They were calling her God. They called her the letter J, J God. So Stinky Jodi was getting the name of J God in those journals. People were thinking that God was speaking through her, or she was a god, which is absolutely insane. And I don't know how anybody could even come close to that.
That is common in cults, right? So I don't know what definition she gave them for these words, but the fact that they're learning unique language is a cult-like feature.
But I guarantee you will find principles of joy in this class. At the end of each week, as I prepare for a new Saturday class, I'll take the slides off of the fridge and put them in a book. This provides my family with a book of principles and easy to understand visuals. This is literally the book on raising children that you have been looking for. And it is a great way to learn as a family, from mom and dad, the children, invite grandparents, your aunts and uncles to join, and then you have curriculum to discuss the rest of the week. I like to print out my slides and put them on the fridge. And then anytime the kids come home from school or come home from a play date or have an interaction that they're uncomfortable with, or maybe they're being disrespectful, I can go back to the visual. And
again, interesting choice of words, right? If the children are being disrespectful, she can go to these slides from Connections. What does that tell you? That Connections is teaching her how to punish her children, right? She's not saying if the kid has a question that I can't answer, or the kid is sad, but the choice of words is the example she picked was the kid doing something wrong, and
now she's wrapped up at this point. So you can see it's called Jodi Hildebrandt and the Connections. It's how to spot a cult. But what Ruby Franke is teaching her now is Jodi Hildebrandt, Stinky Jodi's Connections methods, and trying to get people to convert over to that so that they could make money and control them. So just so you know, Jodi was fronting the bill. She's taking everybody's money, but she was going to front the bill. I heard them talking about buying property and having a real estate agent, and I believe they were going to sell that house already. It's on the market now for $5.3 million. So Jodi was fronting the bill. She was being the man of the relationship, like she looks kind of like she is, and taking control. Thinking that she was God, cult leader. Ugh. Yeah, I got lots of names.
Now she has a justification for whatever punishment she's going to dole out.
And plug any experience into what we learned in the Saturday class. And the reason you can do that is because these are principles, and principles apply across the board in any situation.
I invite you to join me every Saturday to learn about principles of truth. The base being honest, responsible, and humble, and how you can use your
honest, responsible, and humble. This is something we heard in episode 1 when we were looking at the compilation of Ruby Franke videos. And at the time, I thought it was bizarre. And now we see where Ruby and her kid got those principles from. So that actually came from Connections and Jodi. And in episode 1, I actually said that Ruby relished teaching the humble part, right? So her son said, I should be honest, responsible, and humble. And Ruby said, let's focus on humble. And I postulated, I think she liked the humble tenant the most because humbling someone requires belittling them, humiliating them, right? Punishing them. You can't make someone humble by praising them or treating them well or
Right.
building them up. So if this looks like a little match.
He's absolutely right when he says that, because when you build someone up, you praise them, you tell them how amazing they are. If you don't do it in the right way, the ego will take over and you will not be humbled. Instead, it'll be the opposite. And you'll be an ego monster and out of control. So you got to teach your kids how to balance that. We have to teach ourselves how to balance that, everybody. So I love this perspective of DD, and I'm so glad that he's invited us to do a compilation with him, and knowing what we know now and knowing what he knew then, we're bringing it all together, and I'm calling him out, and I hope that he does new content. So let's get him to do new content so we could get more of this stuff. And for Sebastian Rogers too. Sorry, I almost said it wrong.
Made in hell, right? So Jodi comes up with principles, and one of them is humility. And Ruby, who is a sadist, now has cover to teach her children humility, right? She has cover to punish her children because she's teaching them this extremely important tenet of humility, according to Connections, right? So you have someone who's teaching principles that require punishment, and you have a sadist who enjoys doling out punishment, and now the sadist has a reason to dole out punishment. So that is interesting.
Your choices to empower you to recognize distortion and recognize truth and reframe those distortions, those lies, back into what the reality is, back into the truth, so that your life can become calm. Your life
calm. Again, the choice of words, right? So it looks like Ruby was parroting what Jodi said here, right? When Ruby said the house has become calm. Here, Jodi emphasized that if you take this class, your life will become, let's see what you said.
Distortions, those lies, back into what the reality is, back into the truth, so that your life can become calm. Your
calm. So now,
what are we all old? I mean, like 70, 80-year-old people that just want to be calm and sit in a chair all day. I think she was definitely appealing to those mothers. Now, think about this. The LDS community and the members of that society and that area all have a bunch of kids. So she was definitely appealing to the mothers that were tired and worn out from having 4, 5, 6, 7 kids, because those people just keep having kids. And on top and on top and on top. And a lot of them have money because the way they combine their incomes. There's also a lot of polygamists in that area. And yeah, this lady is just, she's evil, everybody. She's evil and she's stinky.
So this is all I know about Jodi, right? There wasn't much out there. This is a very good compilation so far compared to the other ones I looked at. And it looks like Jodi has picked the word calm. And it looks like she's targeting parents who have unruly children. And she's teaching them how to punish them into submission, right? She's not emphasizing how the children become empowered, right? She's saying you, the mother or father, get empowered from this class. And she's saying your house will become calm. Not that your house will become happy or, your children will excel. There's actually very little focus on the children.
Right.
This is all about calming down your house. And I think that's why Ruby might have been attracted to this, because this gives you cover to dole out severe punishments, right? If the children are acting up, running around, acting like kids,
right,
you can calm them.
Well, we don't want
your
to.
life will become clear and you will be able to have connection.
Yeah, nothing in there was fun, everybody. And I saw that comment earlier. She invited us all to do stuff, but nothing that she invited us to do was fun. Who likes to have fun? Raise your hand. Throw something up in chat. I like to have fun. I like my family to have fun. Yesterday was Easter. We had fun on Easter. I did a show with you all, but we still had fun in between that and did coloring book contest and ad libs, where you put the words in. They're funny words that don't match, and you can put cuss words in if you want, and all kinds of fun stuff that we were doing, lots of candy. So everybody was hyped up. But why do you want a calm house when you have 8 people in it and a bunch of kids? It went from calm to sedated. That's what it went to.
And peace. I'll see you on Saturday. Other ways to grab your children's attention. It may take more effort, and it probably will take more effort on your part, rather than hitting them, because when you hit them, you immediately have their attention. Most kids will be like, and then they'll be like, what do you want? What do you want? I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hit me again. But then you have
think about how hard do you have to hit a kid to make them say, I'll do whatever you want.
This dynamic set up of I'm afraid of you and I obey you because I'm afraid of you, not because I love you or I respect you or I want to obey you. I do those things.
So there's lots of leakage in this, right? So here Jodi's doing, it looks like a TikTok or something about hitting your children creates fear. That's what it's titled. But listen to how she's describing it and the things she's casually saying, like you hit your kid and they say, okay, I'll do whatever you want, or it creates fear. She's leaking, I think, a personal history of abuse. So let's start this over and listen to how she's not talking about a spanking or a slap on the wrist. If you actually listen to the words she's saying, and the fact that she's talking about this so casually is alarming. So let's start this over.
And he didn't know what we know now, so it's very alarming, everybody, that she named that hitting your children creates fear. I think she's actually promoting hitting your children in a way not to say it, because when you say a statement like hitting your children creates fear, she wanted them to fear her. When you listen to the children, they call her yes ma'am. They don't call her Stinky Jodi, which is what they should have called her. They call her ma'am. So she created fear even with the Rat King, everybody. The Rat King feared her, and he let her take over the upstairs of his house before cuntyruby moved in with her. She had moved in with them, and she took over the upstairs. She'd walk around in her stinky sweater and wouldn't let anyone upstairs. So there's a stigma around her that she was God and to fear her.
Other ways to grab your children's attention. It may take more effort, and it probably will take more effort on your part rather than hitting them, because when you hit them, usually you immediately have their attention. Most kids will be like, and then they'll be like, what do you want? What do you want? I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hit me again.
I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hit me again. Those are the words of someone who's been hit very hard and multiple times, it sounds like, right? Don't hit me again.
Right.
But then you have this dynamic set up of I'm afraid of you and I obey you because I'm afraid of you, not because I love.
Imagine how severely you have to punish your kid for them to say, I'm afraid of you. Right. So notice the pronouns she's using, right? She's speaking as the child here. I'm afraid of you. Right. She's probably heard a kid say that before.
I love you, or I respect you, or I want to obey you. I do those things out of compliance now. And some kids won't even do it out of compliance. They'll just get hit and then they'll just look at you like, so now what?
She seems to know a lot about that, doesn't she? I wonder how many kids she's been hitting. We know she did that with her niece, but what other kids? Who's letting her hit their kids, man? What is going on?
That is actually the reaction of a child who's been severely abused. For example, if a parent takes their kid to the doctors and the doctor, does something that hurts them, right, as part of a procedure, right, like maybe touches a bruise, and the child doesn't react, that's a red flag for domestic situations at home. So they will actually call CPS or report it to the police, right? So that is one of the red flags of abuse, when a kid when they stop reacting to getting hit. So the fact that she's talking about something like this, like she has firsthand knowledge of it, is extremely concerning. And I think the way she's speaking is she's leaking that she has done this herself. She has firsthand knowledge.
I do those things out of compliance now. And some kids won't even do it out of compliance. They'll just get hit and then they'll just look at you like, so now what are you going to do? Hit them harder? Like pummel them? Now you've lost your intervention. And more kids are going towards that, where they just don't appear to be fazed. You are responsible to protect you. And now.
So to say more and more kids are going through that where they don't appear to be fazed by getting hit. So that probably means that lots of Jodi's clients have kids who are severely abused at home. So the more I see of Jodi, the less surprised I am that Ruby was attracted to her, because Ruby has all the hallmarks of a sadist, right? As we reviewed in episode 1, she relishes punishing her children and she sets them up for failure, right? So she puts them in situations where they can't help but screw up. And then even when she's recounting it in interviews, she slows down the story and adds a lot of detail when she's discovering the problem, like the spilled pineapple juice in episode 1 of the podcast that we looked at, right? So she said they were sleeping on the couch and then I felt something sticky, right? So she goes a long time about how she discovered the situation that would allow her to punish the children. And then she relished interviewing the children and investigating it. And I'm sure, right, the big money shot for her, the big payoff was actually doling out the punishment and recording it and putting it online, right? So one of the hallmarks of a sadist is they love public humiliation. So Ruby is a sadist.
And yeah, so Ruby's a sadist, and he's going to talk about Jodi. But where they met was she was actually their therapist. Everybody, the people recommended her in the church to be the therapist. So they were paying her to do therapy, and Rat King actually paid her to get kicked out of his own house. So that's where they met, was through the church, and Stinky Jodi being the therapist that everybody wanted because they thought she was God for some reason. I can't for the life of me.
Sadist, I stand by that analysis, and I'm not surprised that she was attracted to someone like Jodi, who doesn't seem fazed by severe punishment of children, and actually has a bunch of principles that give cover for the abuse of children, like humility, right? The only way to teach a kid humility is to belittle them or punish them or do things that are not pleasant. Right? Kids are carefree naturally. They're not humble, right? Kids are egocentric, right? As they grow up and mature, that's when they start maybe developing some humility and caring about other people. But as a kid, children are very egocentric. So you're almost setting them up for failure when you want them to be humble. It gives you cover to punish them.
Now you're responsible to protect a baby. So I know that many of us, if not all of us, have been conditioned to believe that, you know, if someone is being abusive, then you need to get away from that person who's being abused.
So this says something about Jodi's clientele. Let's rewind. All right. So the title of this TikTok or short that she's doing is Protecting Your Child from Abusive Partner. And listen to who she addresses.
And now you're responsible to protect a baby. So I know that many of us, if not all of us, have been conditioned.
So many of us, if not all of us. So she's addressing women who have been in an abusive relationship. And that's kind of like at the beginning where she said, you need to be healed, right? So she's targeting susceptible people, people who have been hurt or traumatized and are susceptible to someone bringing them in and manipulating them, right? If you're traumatized, it's much easier for someone like Jodi, who has authority, to bring you in and condition you, right? Essentially brainwash you.
While we're finishing this and listening to it, I'm going to look up how many followers she had. But Mia Bia, I want to address you. You said Jodi, in my opinion, is a psychopath. She faked a possession and took over the top floor of Ruby's home. She's a master manipulator, and Ruby was weak and going broke. Not only was she going broke because the channel got pulled down, but she obviously wasn't into her husband. The sex life had died down. She didn't want to have sex with him anymore, and it was a good excuse. So she came in at the right, Stinky Jodi came in at the right time and talked her into that, but not just her. She had a huge following, everybody. People were paying her literally millions of dollars to destroy their marriages. I want you to know that. I'll look it up real quick while we're watching this and listening.
Although I don't think that's what happened with Ruby. As I said, I think she is a sadist and always been a sadist. But the other people Jodi's targeting sound like people who are victims, and she's able to manipulate them into coming into connections.
Conditioned to believe that, you know, if someone is being abusive, then you need to get away from that person who's being abusive. But it's okay to leave the kids in that environment. And I understand that many of the law.
Right. So she's saying many of the people she's talking to have been in a situation where there's an abusive partner. That's unusual, right? Like, for example, when I talk to camera, I'm not assuming most of you have been in a relationship with an abusive partner, right? It's just not the general population. It's not my target audience. But for her, my point is it seems to be her target audience.
The weak.
And that's how cults operate, right? If you look at anyone who's left a cult, they talk about how they were young in a time of their life where they were easily manipulated, and that's how they got sucked into the cult.
The laws in the world support that. A man or a woman can be being abusive and they still will have their children given to them, which is horrible. And I understand why the law does that, because there's so much deception going on that the law, quote unquote, they don't know where the truth is. They don't know who's telling the truth. So
before Dee Dee even says anything, I have to raise my hand on this one, everybody, because she just laughed at the law, and she knew right then and there. And this is before this all happened, everybody. She knew that the law favored mothers, and the law, especially in that area with all of these cults and the polygamists and the LDS and that religion, that being abusive, we'll say, because it's abusive to me, in my view, being hard on your kids and making them do this hard work and all this nasty stuff whilst it's not eating, she knows that it's typical and the cops aren't going to do anything. So she just leaked that to all of us right now.
This little boy that you have depends on you, Mom. And I'm hoping that you will be a lioness to protect him. So what I'm saying is I want to choose and I want to engage in behavior. And so what I'm saying is I want to choose, talking to the masses, but just know, such as putting something into your body, it is your responsibility to assess all of that for, is this truthful? Is this honest? Is this responsible? It's probably going to be your biggest one. Is this responsible? Who's an adult? And the adult body. I was talking to a mom the other day.
I'm just skipping through these to find one that I watched earlier. So this is a TikTok she made, and she's responding to someone who said, "My adult daughter won't spend time with me." Right. So this looks like a complaint that a connection student had. Right. So a mother told Jodi, my adult daughter won't spend time with me. And let's see how Jodi responds, and see if you can pick up how cult-like the response is.
Appropriate for my body. I was talking to a mom the other day, and she has a daughter who's an adult, and the adult daughter has decided to not spend a lot of time with her parents. And the mom said to her, "Well, if you'll..."
So if we read between the lines here, it looks like that this mother, right, has joined the Connections classroom, and her daughter doesn't agree with the principals, an adult daughter. And so she's telling the mom, "I'm not going to spend time with you while you're participating in Connections." And based on some of the research I did, right, didn't one of Ruby's daughters actually did this?
You're right.
Sherry Franke.
Yes.
She was the oldest daughter. As soon as she was able to leave the house, she got away from Ruby.
Not only did she leave the house and get away from Ruby, but she kept calling the cops to do a CPS check and to do a check with the police to make sure that they were still alive, being fed, being taken care of. She called them multiple times, everybody. And guess what? I'm going to tell you this. Rat King is responsible. Mr. Kevin, I didn't know what happened. He was there when that happened, and he didn't answer the door either. So at that time, I'm going to have to agree that Mr. Rat King is a rat, and he's the king of being rats and making people feel sorry for him, because he knew and he had the responsibility, and he was there when the police came, but he did not answer the door. All right, let's keep going. Sorry.
So I'm not saying that this is necessarily Ruby who's asking for this advice, but it seems like that situation where a mother has joined Connections, her adult daughter doesn't agree with it, and she's not going to talk to the mom unless the mom hears reason. And I think that's why this complaint has come to Jodi's desk, right? Because she's telling Jodi, like, "Look, my daughter's not talking to me ever since I started learning your principles.
If you'll spend time with me, then I'll just listen to everything you have to say. I just want you around me." And I said to the mom, like, "Whoa, Mom, no. That's not the motive here. Your motive, in truth..."
So notice the isolation. So when the mom told Jodi, "Hey, my daughter will spend time with me as long as I just listen to what she says," Jodi says no, right? She doesn't want any of the participants in Connections to hear outside opinions. And that is a huge tenet of cults and of brainwashing, is isolation. So in the law, brainwashing is not a defense, right? So even if Ruby says in court, "Jodi brainwashed me," that's not really going to be a defense.
And Dee, she does say that essentially in her words that she got distorted by Stinky Jodi's beliefs, and that she was her therapist and her mentor, and that's what got into her head. So she doesn't use it as a defense, but she uses it as an excuse.
But it does come up in court sometimes in custody battles where, right, a dad wants to get custody of the kids and he says the mom brainwashed the kids against me. And a big factor when you're talking about brainwashing in the legal sense is isolation. And that's why I found this short, when I saw it earlier, to be so interesting. That she's not, as soon as the mom says, "Okay, all I have to do is just listen to what my daughter says to have her around me," Jodi says no. And that is encouraging severe, extreme isolation, right? Imagine telling your student not even to listen to their own daughter.
Isolation is a real word there, Mr. DD, because the kids, and I'm addressing comment about looking like it was an Airbnb. It actually was an Airbnb on that side of Stinky Jodi's house, and there was nothing there, no toys, there wasn't even food and water there, by the way. But isolation. Did you know the kids hadn't seen each other for a month or more, and they were in the same freaking house? So isolation is definitely what she was doing.
And I said to the mom, like, whoa, mom, no. That's not the motive here. Your motive, in truth, if you want to live in truth, yes, I want to live in truth. Then you just don't agree with everything that your grown daughter has to say. You assess it for truth. And you let her know that, wow, when you say this, I'm going to have to agree to disagree with you. She's like, yeah, but if I say that, then she might leave again. And I said, yeah, she might.
Right. And that's Jodi's intent. She wants the adult daughter who's a problem to leave again. So that's a clear example of Jodi isolating one of her students, if we've read between the lines correctly and understood the situation, right? It sounds like this is a connection student.
And your job is not to sit here and control whether she stays or whether she doesn't stay. Your job is to stay reflectant of truth.
So the invitation.
Also notice how when it's an adult daughter, Jodi, who doesn't agree, Jodi wants her away. But when it's a minor, she's saying you need to be a lioness and lead your children and guard your children and get control of your children, right, from the other parent. And that's also concerning, right? That means that they understand it's easier to abuse and manipulate and, control minors, children. And once they're too old for that, you want them as far away as possible because they might kick you back into reality and show you and tell you how wrong what you're doing is.
And tell.
Is and the hope is that all of the moms that come here learn how and practice plugging in principles of truth into these different circumstances.
Or principles of truth are about learning how to be honest, learning how to be responsible for what? Your own perceptions, your own feelings, your own actions. So perception comes first, then you have an emotional response to a perception, like you're creating that. And then you take your perception and your emotion and you then go act with it. And so as we're getting comments back, people are perceiving not a truth.
And notice every time they're on the couch together, there's this huge couch. And sometimes even in the dip of the couch, they're sitting right next to each other. And lots of times Jodi will be touching Ruby, not the other way around. Jodi will have her hand on her holding her hand or on her thigh. And the reason I say that it's because it's a control thing. Just like Stephen Stearns in the video when he was behind Jen Soto. Not that I'm saying he was controlling her. He was making sure she got her story right and they were on the same page, in my opinion. But just notice how close they always are. And, Jodi's completely controlling Ruby. And, they're both equally culpable. And I think that there was fuel and there was gas and it just lit a fire when those two met.
Truth. You're not hearing what we're saying to you. We're inviting you to be responsible for what you're perceiving. And we're asking you to be responsible for what you're feeling. And we're asking you to be responsible for.
This looks like a video made for Connections. And it looks like they're talking about comments on their Facebook page or, their lessons. And when people are putting negative comments in, they're telling the commenter that you're not responsible over your emotions because you're acting like this, you're acting out, which is a form of mockery. And if you've seen my old videos, you know that mockery is a great tell for someone who's trying to hide the truth from you, from someone who's trying to deceive you. Right? So if these comments were clearly wrong, they could just say, you're wrong, here's why. But this is a very nuanced form of mockery where they're telling people who leave negative comments against them that they're somehow not in control of their own perceptions and actions and that they're hysterical. And, that whenever I see mockery, right, for members, I actually have a little emoji, mockery. And I like to put it whenever I see mockery in the comments to call it out because lots of times it's hard to recognize mockery. You can confuse it with a real point.
Hey, everybody. We have to say hi. Look at Deception Detectives in here. Hello. Thank you so much for this content. And even though that this hadn't happened yet, you nailed it. So you're the deception detective. You did that. You're not a psychic, but you sure called that all right. And we'd love to see more content. We just want to see more content. Dee, you're awesome. All right, let's keep going. I had to call out that he was in chat.
But here it's very clear that they're trying to make their mockery sound scientific, right? They're trying to make these people who might be realizing the truth about how negative connections is, make them feel bad about commenting on it.
For your action, which is your typing. I'm going to react to this person. Like when you're responsible for all of that, then you are living in truth. And here's how we will know if a comment is coming towards us in truth. There will be curiosity in your question, in your statements. You will say, help me understand. You will say, I used to do this and now I can see truth. Anyone who is actually practicing living principles of truth.
So they're dictating the types of comments they want on their connections, classes or Facebook page or social media. And notice how the question she wants, first of all, she only wants comments that are questions, because those people are open to her persuasion, right? She doesn't want critiques.
Does not attack, does not get defensive, does not blame, does not say, well, sin is sin, it's okay. They don't do those things. And so if you
look at the way she's talking, and if you look at her body posture, and so Stinky Jodi and cuntyruby, the way they're sitting, Ruby is doing that whole blink thing that she did with the cops. She's not talking, but she's just listening, and she's really controlled by what Stinky Jodi's saying. Now, Deception Detective, you're awesome. Thank you for the comment. And he's right. Deception Detective, it's all about teamwork, everybody. I'm noticing in the YouTube community, a lot of people are like, don't want to share creator stuff or don't mention creators in the chat. Mention creators in the chat. Mention creators on your channel, everybody. Let's work together. Okay, let's keep going with this. I just had to say that. But look at the blink 3 times if you're okay. Look at her blinks and how she's sitting.
Here in your mind that you're getting reactionary and you want to come at one of us or at someone else who has made a comment in the Facebook page, and you feel like that's wrong and you're upset and you want to tell them how wrong they are, you are in classic distortion.
Distortion.
Right. So more brainwashing, using language with their own private definitions, right? You are in classic distortion. I'm sure they have some definition of what distortion means to them. And on the screen, I'm seeing that they have their own little definitions here in 2 columns. I'm not going to read it.
That's one of the things, everybody.
Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down.
All right, so that's the end of that compilation. I think that actually showed us a great insight into the relationship between Ruby and Jodi. I don't think this exonerates Jodi at all, but I think it explains why. It doesn't exonerate Ruby, sorry, at all. But I think it shows why Ruby was attracted to Jodi. That Jodi had a bunch of principles that allowed for severe punishment and didn't discourage severe punishment of children, and also endorsed isolating the children and putting them in a position where they couldn't tell their friends about what was going on or authorities. And then Ruby, who was a sadist, was attracted to that because it gave her cover to dole out these sadistic punishments to her children. I think that's why this is so fascinating. There's plenty of abusive parents out there, but they don't all find a whole other person who actually gives them cover to act out their most vile fantasies.
Right.
And in Jodi, it looks like Ruby found that. So
and with that, Dee Dee, you're right. And you know who else did that? Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. So even though it's male and female, same thing. They were able to meet each other and then act out. And Carrie Summers, I want to thank you so much. I did receive your Venmo. I appreciate it very much. That was very generous of you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You sent it to the right one. And let's finish hearing what Mr. DD says about this. Everything he's saying is just nailing it, you guys. And like, you could add hashtag psychic to the end of this because he didn't know this was going to happen and it happened. So yeah, go over there and flood his channel.
I know lots of you guys want me to stay on this story. So if you have more videos you want me to analyze, please go to my Twitter, my X, at deceptiondet, DET. And in my pinned tweet there, you can post links to videos and I will check them out. And as we get developments on the story, I'll stay on top of it. Same goes for Russell Brand. I'll stay on top of that. But you know how I feel about his denial. I think it was very unsatisfactory, which is concerning, right? So no one's, even Ruby is not, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in the court of law. But like I always say on my videos, if I'm betting, I'm 90% betting that Ruby is a sadist. and she enjoyed punishing her children. And I think we're going to learn much more about that. And until next time.
Thank you, DD. We appreciate you. And you betted right. You called it spot on before it even happened. So that's amazing. I mean, hey, none of us would have actually known that by just looking at those two people. We could have definitely speculated, but your speculation was spot on. And yeah, keep the videos coming. There's a Sebastian Rogers one that I want to do, but I need to look more into the parents, because on that one, we're looking at the step. I mean, we're looking at the biological father and not the step parents. So I got to figure out how to put the two together and bring you Sebastian Rogers. Okay. So, wow, guys, that was, I feel like I haven't stopped talking, even though we are listening to DD. Yes. I'm just going to put a few more comments up. I wanted to also talk a little bit about Judy and Ruby, Stinky, Jodi and cuntyruby, just a little bit in case you didn't know. Yeah, Morris blinking code. I don't know what she was doing, but she definitely was brainwashed, but brainwashed by her own will. I think she wanted that control to be handed to her, because she had to take control of, well, 8 people, herself and 7 others. And I think she just got tired of it, everybody. I literally think she was tired of it, and she wanted to hand off the torch. We know her husband's balls never dropped. And since his balls never dropped, he wasn't able to take control of her or the children in the way that he should have, to give her a break. Maybe if you'd have gave her a break and helped her out and let some balls drop, Mr. Rat King wouldn't be in the predicament that he is in now. And let's see, DD is the only one I watch. I also feel body language is no bueno. Yeah, we just like to look at the perception of that. Mia, I like seeing body language, but I like a bunch of different angles. But yeah, DD nails it in these videos. And yeah, so I also want to tell you something really exciting. Number one, it's exciting that Chad Daybell's on day 1 of jury trial. Also want to tell you something else. It's a little hidden gem in here, because everyone wants to hear about Jen Soto. I got a little more information and some footage today, everybody. So don't tell anybody, but one of my viewers sent me a message all the way in Instagram land, which I don't check all the time, but she's out there in Florida, and she sent me some freaking awesome footage and some pictures of the memorial site, and well, the memorial site and the body dumping site, as well as, guess what, guys? And I'm going to bring another video out. I'm going to give you guys a little hint. It was at Grandma's house, the birthday party, everybody. I have pictures to prove it. So I know everybody wants to know about Jen Soto, and you want me to have the content coming on that. I can see the difference between 500 people in the chat room and 60 something, which is okay with me, because I can give you more attention, everybody. But I just wanted to drop that little hint to you that I'm going to have another episode of Jennifer Soto and the Madeline Soto case, and that I have some exclusive footage that nobody else has. And I know they don't have it because I'm the only one that has it. Because guess what? My follower sent it to me personally, and I will credit her if she wants to be, or she could be anonymous. So I have some really cool. I have a picture of the actual where the bush where Madeline was dumped, that bush, and that drop-off area, and the memorial site, and the footage where we know for sure. Everybody, hashtag fact, it was at Grandma's house. The birthday party was at Jennifer Soto's mom's house. So you guys I just thought I'd let you know, since you were on here, and we'll do exclusive footage and images video this week. I promise. If you guys can, please like, subscribe, share. And guess what, guys? I don't know how to show you. Some people were having trouble with it, but we have a membership tab now, and you could join that membership to support the channel. If you can, please do. You don't have to be, if you can't afford it. I think the cheapest one was $2.99. Don't do it. Don't worry about it. It's okay. But if you can, you're going to get exclusive content. I'm going to do some cool secret chats where it's just us. and we're going to be able to talk, and we'll talk about cases. Yeah, I don't know what that means, but okay. Yeah, so we're gonna a YouTube user, not sure what you're referring to, but we appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for saying that. And I did look into the Ruby thing, to how many followers, not Ruby, I'm sorry, Jodi had, and it was an unknown amount of people, but we do know that she was getting paid a lot, and some clients were really rich, donating millions of dollars to her personally. So on that note, if nobody else has any questions for me, anything else they want to hear from me, any cases they want, yeah, KJ, I think we should get together and take a trip to Florida and get some footage. I am going to take trips and go do stuff, you guys. If we can grow this channel and do a Gray Hughes thing, although I'll be nice to you, I promise. I'm not going to call you guys idiots and dumbasses and fuckers. I do appreciate that Gray Hughes donates, but I don't want to treat you guys like shit. I want to treat you with respect and love. And I will take a trip out to Florida and get some footage. I just got some today from one of my subs, and I'm the only one that has it, guys. So it's really cool, and I'm excited to share it with you. And that's what I plan on doing with any money that gets donated to me, is to keep the channel going. And I'd love to go to trials and take trips to crime scenes and things like that. I'm not afraid of a bloody crime scene, even old dried up blood or whatever we got to do to get the job done, everybody. For me to bring you content that's really good and information that's accurate. That's my goal. And yeah, on that note, I love every single one of you. Thank you for the people that so far have, well, thank you all, but thank you for the memberships. Thank you for gifting the memberships. Let me know if you got gifted a membership. Carly, let's go. Let's go to Indiana. You're talking about Delphi. Let's go. I just need to know dates, and yeah, no dancing cheesy tacos. No dancing cheesy tacos. We're here for the real deal, Carrie Summers. We are the real deal in the crime crew. So I love every single one of you. I'm so glad to have you here today. Look forward to seeing you guys Wednesday. I'm doing an Elijah Vu update with the triple threat. We got me, Marv from Beyond the Evidence, and JT from the Poco Moonshine. So check out my list that I have coming. I think it's 4 p.m. on Wednesday. And check out my outro. Every one of you guys, let's go to Indiana. Carrie, let's come. Carly, let's come. Any recent sightings of Jen Soto? You're going to have to find out. You're going to have to find out. That person also went to the jail where Stephen Stearns is. You're going to have to find out, Melly. Keep those notifications. You're a new member. All right. On that note, I have to say goodbye. I love every single one of you. And this was a great live today. Have a good one.
Guilty of crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty?